Okay, so in this lecture we will look at linear combinations, linear functions, and we'll also do some transformations of certain vectors, and those transformations will be carried out using matrices. So first of all, what is a linear function? So a function f of r is called linear if it satisfies two conditions. So the first condition is f of r1 plus r2 is equal to f of r1 plus f of r2, and the second condition that it should satisfy is that f of a into r should give you a into f of r. Okay, so these are the two conditions that should satisfy if the function is linear. So let's consider an example. Okay, so if you consider f of r to be mod r, okay, so which is the absolute value of r. Alright, so if f of r is mod r, then what would f of r1 plus r2 be? Okay, so then this would be mod of r1 plus r2. Sorry, this is mod this is mod of r1 plus r2, and just f of r1 would be mod of r1 and just f of r2 would be mod of r2. So now if you see, right, r1 plus r2, mod of r1 plus r2 is actually not equal to mod of r1 plus mod of r2, right? We know this because if we are only considering the absolute values, then these would not be equal, right? Because even if r2 is minus something, minus 3, then the absolute value would consider it 3, but over here within the mod it would be a different value, right? So this is in general not true. Therefore this function, right, this function is not linear. Okay, alright, so for homework you have to find out whether the following functions are linear. Not linear. So the first one is f of r is equal to a dot r plus 3, and second one is f of r is equal to a dot r. Okay, so this is your homework. Now there is also something known as linear transformation. So by linear transformation we mean that if we have some vector x, y, then we can add certain coefficients to the vectors and create a new vector. So for example, if we originally have a vector x comma y, okay, this can be transformed to x dash comma y dash, but now the transformation is such that x dash is equal to ax plus by and y dash is equal to cx plus dy. Okay, so essentially we can write this in matrix form: x dash y dash is equal to something into xy. So this is a, b, c and d. Okay, so this would be our transformation. So this is linear transformation. So essentially what it means is that r dash becomes m dot r, right? So this is our linear transformation where r dash is not equal to r. Okay. Then there is also something known as an orthogonal transformation. Okay. So in this again it is similar to linear transformation, but there is a small difference. So let's write out what is a linear transformation first. So x dash is ax plus by, y dash is cx plus dy. But now there is an additional condition that x dash square plus y dash square is equal to x square plus y square. What this means is that the length of the vector remains the same after the transformation. Okay, so this is what it means, right? Because this is essentially will give you the length of any vector, right? So the length of vector x dash y dash would be root of x dash square plus y dash square, right? So this has to be equal to the length of the vector xy, which is essentially x square plus y square. So this needs to be satisfied, and along with the condition that it is similar to linear transformation, and if these two things are satisfied, then it is called an orthogonal transformation. Alright. So we will see why these things are important. Okay. So first what we'll do is we'll look at something known as an orthogonal matrix. Alright. So this is a special kind of a matrix. So this special matrix follows this or has this property, okay, which is M inverse is equal to M transpose. So if a matrix M has the property that its inverse is equal to the transpose, then we call such a matrix as a orthogonal matrix. So now let's see from this how can we determine a property of its determinant. Okay, so in general we know that M into M inverse will give you the identity matrix, right? Because a matrix and the reciprocal or the inverse of its matrix, if you multiply them, it will give you the identity matrix. So if you look at determinant of this entire thing, right, this will be equal to determinant of the identity matrix. Now we know that determinant of the identity matrix is nothing but 1. Okay, because it only has the diagonal elements as 1 and all the off diagonal elements are 0. So the determinant of an identity matrix of any order will be 1. And this part, right, this can also be written as determinant of M into determinant of M inverse. This is from the property that we have studied in the previous class. Alright. Now we know that M inverse is equal to M transpose. So this can be written as determinant of M transpose. Okay, which is again equal to 1. Alright. Now we also know that determinant of M or determinant of any matrix and the determinant of the transpose of any matrix is also the same. So in general we know that determinant of M is equal to determinant of M transpose. This is in general. This is not just related to orthogonal matrix. This is for every matrix. This is true. Okay. So this is true in general. Alright. So now from here we can substitute determinant of M into determinant of M will give you 1, which essentially means that determinant of m whole square is going to give you 1. So what this means is that the determinant of m will be plus or minus 1. Okay, so if you look at a matrix, right, and if you see that, okay, the inverse of the matrix is equal to the transpose of the matrix, that is the orthogonal matrix. Or you can do it the other way, where you can, if you just look at a matrix, you calculate its determinant, and then you see that the determinant is either plus 1 or minus 1. Okay, then also you know that this is an orthogonal matrix. Okay, so M is an orthogonal matrix in this case. Alright. So let's see why we are actually looking at orthogonal matrices. Okay, so orthogonal matrices are something which are very much used in group theory. Alright, so basically if you have a vector, alright, or if you have a position on a plane which is defined by, so the position on the plane will be some point, and the point could correspond to some position on the x-axis, some position on the y-axis. Alright, so now you want to see what happens if you rotate this the vector by a certain angle and then get the new vector. Okay, so these are things that are very important in group theory. So you have to know then how to rotate it. So the easiest way is to find like a rotation matrix and then apply that rotation matrix to the vector. Okay, so these are too many words, so let's example. Okay, so here we have rotation of a vector by an angle theta in the counterclockwise direction. Okay, so this angle theta and counterclockwise direction. So let's first define a vector, right? So we have alright, so this is our 0, 0. This is our x-axis, this is our y-axis. Alright, so let's define a vector. Okay, so this is our vector. Let's call initially the vector as from 0, 0 to x0, y0. Alright, okay, now let's say the original angle that it made with the x-axis is phi. Okay, this is the original angle that it made. And what is the length of this vector? The length of this vector is r. Right? Okay, so the length of the vector is r. And so r vector will be defined as x0, y0, and the length of the vector is given by root of x0 square plus y0 square. Alright. Okay, so these are the things that we have defined. Now let's see what this means. So if we look at this part, right, so there is, so the position here, this is nothing but x0, and the position here is nothing but y0. Okay, so this is something that we know because this point is x0, y0. Alright, now we have to define okay, so let's see. So if we want to use this angle, so what is cos phi? So cos phi is nothing but, so this length, right, the length here is actually x0 and the length here is y0, right? So cos phi is nothing but x0 by r. Okay, and sin phi is nothing but y0 by r. Okay, alright. So now I'm in the next few, I'm just going to define that r mod r is nothing but r. Okay, because I don't want to write mod r every other time. Alright, so what we have is that x0 is r cos phi and y0 is r sin phi. Alright. Now let's, what we wanted to do was, okay, now we have right now we have only set up the system. But now what we wanted to do was we wanted to rotate this vector by an angle theta in the counterclockwise direction. So what is the counterclockwise direction is? This direction. Okay, this direction is the counterclockwise direction. So we want to rotate this vector by an angle theta. So this angle is theta. Alright. And we rotated it, and now there is a new position. Okay, so let's call it x1 y1. Okay, now you see what happens, the vector has changed its position, but the length of the vector remains the same. Okay, so this is an example of a orthogonal transformation. So the length of the vector remains the same. Okay, which means r remains the same. Okay, so this is also r. Alright. Now we see that there is a new x1 and y1. Okay. So this is your y1 and this part is your x1. Alright. But what is the angle that this makes with the total x-axis? So let's write it again. Alright. So let's write the new vector. Okay. So the new vector was somewhere here. It has the length r and it made, so this position was x1. So this is x1 y1 and this was y1. Okay, x and y. Alright. But the total angle here now becomes theta plus phi. Okay. So if r is the same, we can now define x1 and y1 in terms of r and theta plus phi. Alright. So we have x1 is equal to r cos theta plus phi and y1 is equal to r sin theta plus phi. Okay. Alright. So let's expand x1 and y1 now. So we will use the formulas for cos theta plus phi and sin theta plus phi. Alright. So x1 will be r into cos theta cos phi minus sin theta sin phi, and y1 is equal to r into sin theta cos phi plus cos theta sin phi. Okay, so these are the formulas for cos theta plus phi and sin theta plus phi. You should remember these formulas, okay, because there will be questions about these such kinds of transformations. So if you don't know these formulas, it will be very difficult for you. Alright. Okay, so now let's see what is happening. Now we know that r cos phi, right? R cos phi is nothing but x naught. So this becomes x naught into cos theta, and now you have r sin phi is nothing but y naught. So minus y naught into sin theta, and y1 becomes r cos phi is again x naught into sin theta plus r sin phi is y naught into cos theta. Okay, so now you can write this in the matrix format, right? So this is x1 y1 is nothing but right? So there will be something here, and this is x naught, y naught. So here you have cos theta minus sin theta, and cos theta. Alright, so this matrix is known as your rotation matrix. Alright, so this is one kind of rotation matrix. How was this rotation matrix obtained? This rotation matrix was obtained when we rotated the vector by an angle theta in the counterclockwise direction. Okay, now remember the rotation was in the counterclockwise direction. If the rotation is in the clockwise direction, you have to change what this thing will look like. Okay, where is it? This will become different. If it's in the clockwise direction, then your angle will be somewhere here, right? So things will become different. Alright, so you have to remember where you are rotating or how you are rotating it. Okay, alright. So then the new vector will not have an angle theta plus phi with the x-axis. It will have an angle phi minus theta with the x-axis. So you have to remember whether it is counterclockwise or clockwise. This example was for the counterclockwise direction. Generally, if there is nothing given, if it just says that the vector is rotated by an angle theta, then you should assume that it is counterclockwise direction. But if specifically it is given clockwise, counterclockwise, then you have to do it that way. Okay. Alright. So we'll look at one more example, and in this case what we will do is we will rotate the axis itself. Okay, rotate the axis by an angle theta in the counterclockwise direction. Okay, so we are rotating the axis now. We are not rotating the vector. Vector stays where it is, but we are rotating the axis. So let's look at what it means. Alright, so first let's draw the normal case. So here we have x, y, this is 0, 0. Okay, now what did we do? First we have to specify a vector. So let's call it x0, y0. Okay, so initially this vector makes an angle phi with the x-axis. Alright, and this has the length of this vector is again r. Okay, so this is our setup. Now what we have to do? We have to rotate the axis in the counterclockwise direction by an angle theta. Alright, so let's see. If we rotate the axis itself, then what it means is that this becomes now our x dash. Okay, and now this is our y dash. Alright, okay, so we rotated it by an angle theta, which means this angle was theta. Okay, so then the angle in between these two, this will become phi minus theta. Okay, so this is our setup. Alright, so let's look at it initially. So initially, right, without anything in the original axis, so let me draw it part by part again. X, y. Okay, so here what I am doing is after the rotation, let's call the new vector with respect to the new axis, let's call it x1, y1. Okay. Alright. So if in the original one this was x0, y0 and this was phi. Right. So again we can specify what is x0. So x0 is now r cos phi, y0 is r sin phi. Okay. Because this is x0 and this is y0. Alright. So this is in the original case. Now what we did was we changed the angle. So now there is a new axis. Right. X, y. Okay. So this is x dash, y dash. Alright. And this was our vector. x0, y0. So this thing was phi, this entire angle was phi, and this angle is theta, so this angle becomes phi minus theta. Okay. So now, and this vector becomes x1, y1. So the new vector is with respect to new axis. Okay. So the vector doesn't change position at all over here. It's just the axis which changes position. So with respect to the new axis, x dash, y dash. Okay. Alright. So the new vector can be defined as x1 is this is still r. So r cos phi minus theta. And y1 is r sin phi minus theta. Okay. So now we have to use the definitions of or formulas for cos of phi minus theta and cos of and sine of phi minus theta. So this will be r into cos phi cos theta plus sine phi sine theta, and y1 is r into sine phi cos theta minus cos phi sine theta. Okay. So r cos theta is nothing but x0, and then you have cos phi which is remaining. R sine theta is nothing but y0 sine phi, and y1 is r cos theta is x0, so x0 sine phi, and r sine theta is y0 minus y0 cos phi. So you can see we now have x1, y1, write it in terms of a matrix. x0, y0, you have cos phi, sine phi, sine phi minus, sorry, am I missing something? Oops. Sorry, r okay. Alright, so I think I made a stupid mistake, not in the calculation but more like in the definitions. So here, so what did we define earlier, right? We have to always remember what we defined. So x0 is r cos phi and y0 is r sin phi. Alright, so we have to remember that. So r cos phi is x0. So what is remaining is cos theta, and r sin phi is y0. So what's remaining is sin theta. again here it is x0, r sine phi is y0, right? So r sine phi is y0, what's remaining is cos theta, and r cos phi is x0, so minus x0 sine theta. Okay, now we have it properly. We have so this is cos theta sine theta, then you have minus sine theta, and this one is cos theta. So this is your rotation matrix. Okay. Alright. So I have a small homework for you in this section, which is find the rotation matrix and the new vector after the following operations. So the operations are rotate the vector by an angle theta in the counterclockwise direction, and then rotate the axis by an angle theta in the counterclockwise direction. Okay, so this is your homework problem. So after you perform this these set of operations, you need to find what is the rotation matrix and the new vector corresponding to that rotation matrix. Alright, okay, so that's it for today.